What were your contacts with John Weaver like, and how did they make you feel?
So my first contacts with him, and the only contacts, it only lasted for like 3 weeks total, 3 weeks, maybe 4 weeks back in 2017. I'm always tweeting about political stuff. And back then I was a reporter for a news organization down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I was tweeting about probably something political, and obviously he's a political person, so he must have come across them, followed me. And, every time someone follows you, you kind of go to their profile to see who they are. So I went to check him out, and I'm like, oh, wow, he worked with John Kasich and he worked with John McCain. This is a pretty big, real guy. So I followed him back thinking, hey, maybe, it'll lead somewhere. It's a fun contact to have. Why is some big GOP guy following me on Twitter? So I followed him back. And instantly, I got a DM, a direct message from him. And it was like, thanks for the follow back, Alex, with a smiley face and a big exclamation point. And usually men of that age and of that position aren't like waiting to see who follows them back. And they're not just like waiting with bated breath to see who followed them back. So he said that. And I said, you're welcome. Thanks. Thanks for the follow also. And it like progressively just got to, what do you do as a reporter? What do you do in your off time? What do you do after hours? He asked that at one point, and he kept calling me boy. He kept saying, more details, boy. That's my boy. Like, what's my boy up to today? And it never got really sexual, to put a word on it. I don't for one second feel like I was nearly as bad as some of those victims in the New York Times article, but it was definitely creepy. And for a while, I just didn't respond to his, because there was like 4 or 5 messages in a row. Like, what are you up to? What are you doing today? We should go on a trip. I should come visit. Like all this stuff that I'm like, I don't know you. I'm not responding to this. And then eventually I would say, haha, LOL, to like throw him a bone. And he wouldn't stop. So to answer your question, creeped me out. And I felt, now looking back, it makes me feel so dumb. Like, why did I even entertain this guy? Why did I even respond to him?
Did anyone else know what was going on? And did you feel like you were the only person dealing with this?
I'll answer that second part first. I did. I don't know why I thought, oh, well, maybe, he likes Pennsylvania politics and I'm from Pennsylvania originally, or maybe he likes Carolina politics because that's where I live and work now. I didn't ever think, that I was one of, dozens of other people who, again, seemingly had it much worse than I did as far as victimization goes. I didn't feel that I was really victimized at all, but I definitely was creeped out and not super on board with what he was trying to get at. He was all but saying really inappropriate things in very subtle ways, and he wanted me to kind of open the door to make it okay. Like, he kept saying, more details. What do you do after this? What do you do at this time? Maybe what do you do on your off days? As if I'm supposed to say, like, I meet up with random men and we hang out. Like, I mean, that's what it sounded like he wanted me to open the door to make it okay for him to say, well, I'd like to do that too, and it just really rubbed me the wrong way. So I did think I was the only one for some reason, but again, hindsight's 2020. Looking back, I'm like, why would I have been the only one? These kind of people, if you want to call it predatory, whatever, that's what they do. They find people who might be looking for something, and he's in a powerful position. He's in a position of influence. He offered to like talk to CNN on my behalf, to the president of CNN, and maybe get my name in the door there. But it was all under the deal of, tell me what you do, show me your haircut. He asked me about my haircut a ton. For whatever reason. So I was really shocked the other day to find out that I was not the only person he was contacting and asking things to.
What do you think Weaver's intentions were?
I'm pretty what's the word I want? I'm pretty good at reading people and guessing at what they're trying to infer. So like, if you're asking me what I do after hours, you're not asking if I do Sudoku or if I, listen to podcasts. He was asking it in a way, and I mean, there's some screenshots that I've shared of the way he would ask it and the way that he would phrase it, and he wouldn't let up on stuff, and he wouldn't let go of ideas and keep asking about the haircut. I think his intentions were to get something sexual from me, or some kind of picture or some kind of response that satisfied whatever crazy, gross craving he had. And again, it never really got overtly sexual at all between us, because I stopped it and was like, this is not feeling right. This feels creepy and weird. So I stopped. The only thing I did send was I sent a picture of my a selfie showing my hair off because I just gotten a haircut, and he was like, "Let me see what it looks like. Let me see what it looks like." Um, so I sent that, but his intentions were not just to be a friend, because obviously if you're messaging random young men all at the same time looking for the same stuff, I mean, no 50-plus-year-old man is just friends with a bunch of 21-year-olds and 18-year-olds just because he wants some young friends. You want something else.
What type of person is John based off of the contact you made with him?
I'll be honest. I mean, when I looked him up, once he followed me, I was like, let's see if this guy's real. Is he some kind of robot? Is he a poser? Whatever. So I looked him up and I was like, wow, this guy's really well connected, really well respected. He's known, in GOP politics really well. So I don't know much about him other than, what I wasn't able to learn much more about him other than what I read online at that time, which to me, he seemed pretty respectable. And I'm like, there's no way this big time GOP guy is hitting on me. I mean, there's no way that's what he's really doing, is it? And he was. And there's just no other way to say it. That's exactly what he was doing. There's a reason why there's not a lot of women saying that he came after them or, whatever, DM'd them. It's a bunch of young men. In that article. So, I mean, there's a pattern there. And unfortunately, now this may stain his reputation for forever. And I'm not going to speak to what he did or didn't do to anybody else, but the man clearly has an issue. And I don't know his character more than our interactions. And I wouldn't give it a good review at this point.
What would be your advice to others who may be going through the same thing now or may in the future?
I've been a reporter for like the better part, almost a decade now. So I have a pretty good idea of what people are saying to me. And if it's a truth, if it's a lie, so I kind of can read real well. But even with all of that on board, all of that ability, if you want to call it that, I still kind of played along with the game. I still kind of played into his little sick, attempt at whatever he wanted to get out of it. So my advice would be, if it feels wrong right away, if it feels creepy or off color right away, it probably is. I mean, I remember thinking, this is so weird. Why is this guy messaging me? I'm some low-level local reporter in Charlotte, North Carolina with no accolades to my name. Why the hell does this guy care about me? And looking back now, I'm like, why did I even respond? Why didn't I unfollow him, ignore all the messages? Who cares how many times he asks me for something? So my advice would just be, if it feels wrong right away, it is wrong. It probably is wrong. Don't play into it and move on, or just be so very careful about what you do say and what you do send, especially in the world we live in today. It can be used against you, I guess, so easily and so quickly.
Alex Peterson, thank you so much for your time.
Sure. Thank you so much for reaching out. I really appreciate it.